course, you're in here. We are going to talk today about press man. Every place I've been, we've had the opportunity to teach press man technique. And really what I believe is that, well, I've had coaches over the years who've said, you know what, my guys are not good enough to play press man. In my mind, if I was an inferior athlete, I'd want to get up. I'd want to get closer to the receiver. Yeah. That, in my opinion, helps inferior athletes. So I think that really, if you say your guys are not good enough, you need to move them closer to the line of scrimmage. There's some things that, for us at Kansas State, and it's been true at other places that I've been over the years, that we talk to our defensive players about. There's some things that we're going to do. First thing is we're going to play hard. We're going to play hard, and when you're a defensive coach, when they turn on the film, when the opponent turns on the film, you want the opponent, you want anybody to watch your team to always be able to say, you know, those guys played hard. I tell our guys, you might get blocked, but you can't stay blocked, right? You got to have a kind of effort, I call it maniacal effort. They have to think there's something wrong with you because you are fighting so hard to get to the ball, fighting so hard to get off the block. So the first thing that our guys have to do is they're going to have to play hard. The next thing is that they're going to have to play smart, right? Today, in college football especially, we pay a lot of money. We pay for all these apps and services. And the thing I challenge my guys to do is to learn how to use these services. We have a service that takes all the data that our GAs put in, that our coaches put in about the upcoming opponent. It looks at that data, it looks at our data, the things that we've done in the games, and it gives us, as coaches, a call sheet. Well, if we have that data, access to that kind of data as coaches, I tell our players, hey man, you come in here and learn how, actually sometimes they teach me how to work it, but you come in here and you learn how to operate on these with these resources to be able to give yourself an edge. So I challenge our guys, right? They want everything right now. They have access to everything right now. And so I challenge them to be on the cutting edge, to learn how to get the edge, learn how to gain an advantage through the resources that we have. Then the next thing that we talk to them about is that they have to be tough. Football is a will-imposing game. It's a game where you versus me. And we talk about that from the secondary standpoint, from the cornerback standpoint, because if there's any position on the defense where you can be a softie, right, it's the cornerback position. But we talk to those guys about being tough. We talk to them about continuing to have the opponent yield to your will, play after play after play. Of course, on the D-line and the linebackers, that's just a given. That's a part of it. But we stress that as well in the secondary. So in recruiting, I talk about some things that are below the line and are above the line. The things that are above the line, those are things that he has to have, right? To play defensive back, those things he has to have. He has to have those things. The things below the line, sometimes I'll bend on, right? First thing is this guy has to be smart. He has to be a student of the game. He has to love the game. When we go into the school, I want to ask the coach, does he love football, right? Does he really like it? Because if he doesn't, I don't believe he's going to be the player that we're going to demand that he is. The next thing is, as a coach, I have to trust him. I have to trust him. His teammates have to trust him, because at this position, if there's a falter, the band is playing, right? So we got to make sure that we can trust him. The next thing, many of the places that I've had the opportunity to coach, we've been tops in the nation in creating turnovers. So you say makes plays. What does that mean? Really, a big part of that to me means this guy has to have an understanding and a genuine appreciation for making plays. The younger guys, they call it, he has to have swag. Yes, you got to have a certain level of confidence to do it, to play the game. We already talked about the fact that it's a will-imposing game. Nobody in the secondary can play and not be committed to being physical, being more physical than the opponent, than the receivers that you line up against. The next thing, kind of talked about it, alluded to it a minute ago, is he's got to be committed to being the best that he can be. He has to want to be the best every day. And then in our defense, the safeties, they make a lot of calls, they make a lot of checks, but the corners, they have to be high communicators as well. Those guys have to be able, in the secondary, they have to be able to talk, to communicate at all times. If you got a guy who can't communicate, who's not a communicator, it's going to be very difficult for him to play at the level that we would want him to play in the secondary. Now, the next two things are below the line, right? I always walk in, and I'm looking at a DB, and I'm saying, if this guy's my height, I am licking my lips. I'm excited, right? His weight about 175 pounds, and this is really in every league that I've been a part of. In the Big 12, in the SEC, in the ACC, if you are about 175 pounds, you can play, right? But it's below the line. So if you are a guy who is 5'9", but you got some bulldog in you, right? My wife is a counselor. So if you're 5'9", and they're attacking you every play, and I, as the coach, have to counsel you, okay, we can't have that guy, right? And I'll send you to my wife. If you're 5'9", you better have something in you to dare them to come your way, to dare them to throw the ball to you, right? Because if you're 5'9" and the other corner is 6'2", they're tapping helmets and they're attacking you. So we got to make sure that if this guy is below the ideal height and size, then he's got to have something extra. Then when we talk about speed, 4 or 5 or better, right? I've had guys who are not 4 or 5 guys, but they have something extra. They have something in those other areas that takes them over the hump. Remember those two keys below the line, they're very much flexible. So when we talk about press man, and I learned this not long ago, I was coaching girls basketball, high school girls basketball. And I know nothing about basketball. I was kind of thrown into that job with a group of young freshman girls basketball players. Well, they watched me coach football, and they always complained that I was really nice to them. Well, we had a game. We played a guy, a coach, an opposing coach. I really didn't like this guy. This guy ran up the scores, and he was pretty much this is film, so I won't say what he was, but he was not a nice guy. So all this week, while we're preparing for this team, my level of intensity was high, right? We better not miss a layup. We better be physical. It's like football on the basketball court with girls this week. So we get into the game, and it's a close game because he had a really good team, but we did too. So we're going backwards and forwards. And my girls are chippy, right? They're elbowing, they're doing things that they really don't do, right? The official comes over, the referee comes over to me and says, listen, you better get your girls under control. They're, hey, we're going to stop this game. I'm like, wow, I don't know what. Well, he comes over again just before halftime, and he says, listen, coach, they're undisciplined, they're wild out here. Well, that's the trigger word for a coach. We go in at halftime, I am hot. What is wrong with you? We don't do that. We play with class. One of the girls raised her hand, and she said, Coach, this is what you've been showing us all week. We thought this is what you wanted. And in looking at that, like I said, it was a tremendous lesson for me. I took that to football to say, you know what? Your players, they are who you train them to be. They are who you are, right? And so every day after that, when we talk about press man, when we talk about teaching coverage, we use words like dominate them, challenge them, get up there, compete. We talk about finish, we talk about strike, we talk about attack. We want to put that jersey on these guys every day so that that's the way they approach the game. That's the way they approach the technique. We talk in practices. We set goals, right? I know it's a team sport, but when we go into our private room, we talk about how we're going to perform in practice. We talk about individually how we're going to perform in the game. We set goals for practice. We set goals for game. We talk in my grading. I want to know how you align. Do you accomplish, carry out your responsibility? Do you play with good technique? Do you play with effort? Every single play, I'm going to grade that. Then on the other side, I want to know how productive you are. Because there's some guys, you put them in the game for 10 plays, they're going to do what they're supposed to do, all 10 of those plays. They're going to align where they're supposed to be aligned. They're going to carry out their responsibility, play with really good technique, play with great effort, but they're not going to make anything happen. You got another guy, you put him in the game for 4 plays, he's not going to align any of those plays, but he's going to have an interception for a touchdown. Somehow he's going to scoop a fumble up, be aligned the wrong way, not covering his guy, but he's going to scoop a fumble up and return it for a touchdown. I want to know the difference in those two guys. And I argue with my wife and other coaches about this, but I'm not a plus-minus guy when it comes to grading. I really want to grade each one of those aspects. I want to give you a 0 to 5 on your alignment. I want to give you a 0 to 5 on your effort, on your technique. Did you do your responsibility? And that way for me, when a kid walks into my office and says, "Coach, why am I not playing?" I can show you specifically where you're struggling. Because if Johnny got a plus and he got a plus, the kid sees no difference. Why does his plus weigh more than my plus, right? And so I like to be able to show them that, and I also like to be able to track and chart production. And so that becomes, these are grids that my wife came up with. I'm not that smart. But that becomes something that our players get into, and they've gotten into over the years, and they start to rate themselves by guys who we've coached previously who have had the opportunity to score. So we talk about individual awards. We talk about winning the Thorpe. We talk about being all conference. We talk about being all American. That's important to us. It's important to us where we rank in the nation in pass defense. It's important where we rank in turnovers, because at the end of the day, somebody's going to be first in all those categories, and that group, that guy, that team is going to have the respect of the rest of the country. We always strive for wanting to be in those places. I've had the opportunity to coach at some different places and do some great things, and in my opinion, it's all because of, not all, it's largely because of some of the things we've done in our secondary and the guys who have lined up to play. So let's jump into it. We talked about it already. It's very important that you have to train aggression. You have to use those words that I talked about previously. We're going to talk, as we move through today, we're going to talk about stance. We're going to talk about alignment. Now, it'll be a little bit difficult for me because I'll normally need to grab a guy from the audience. Talk about stance, we'll talk about alignment, we'll talk about where we place our eyes, talk about our hands and our feet. We'll talk about what I call opposite hand on movement. How we're going to cut them off. There's a progression that we go through every day, and then we'll talk through when we look. I've had parents and I've had fans come to me and say, "Well, your guys never look for the ball." Well, unfortunately right now, we're not in position to be able to look. You can't look until you get the receiver under control. So it makes no sense for the receiver who has beat me by 15 yards to look back for the quarterback. He's throwing it to that guy. So we have to train him and get him to be in position to be able to look. And then we have a technique that we use in the red zone. We call it the slant technique, and we'll talk a little bit through that. So the stance for us is we want our guys to have a balanced stance. Weight is on the ball of their feet, right? And I got a clip of this, so I don't have to be the example, right? We want to be in a balanced and a comfortable stance, right? We always talk about our guys having those toes slightly inward, right? Having them learn how to, and this is press or off, having them learn how to feel the weight in their shoes, feel the weight on that big toe or the balls of their feet. We want them to be able to understand that, right? Then, when we talk, well, we'll talk a minute about the hands, but when I have taller guys, what I want them to do is slightly be able to stagger those stance, right? It's just more comfortable, a little bit more comfortable for taller guys. When you have the shorter guys, I'll allow them, or I'll actually force them to get in a square stance. Those guys are traditionally a little bit quicker than the taller guys, right? Long striders, I allow them to stagger their stance. It ends up helping them to be able to bend a little bit better, right? Weight on the balls of his feet, on the inside of his feet. We'll talk about his hands in a minute. I don't like your hands down below your knees. I want you to be in a position where you are ready to strike. Like I said, we'll talk through that in just a second. When I was a young coach, I'm not young anymore, I learned, or I really had the opinion that I wanted to squeeze the line of scrimmage as much as I could, right? I like to tell the players, I want to smell his breath. Over the years, I've learned, let me back them off just a little bit. And sometimes when I had inferior players, I learned that, you know what? When I'm on the line of scrimmage, if I move back just a little bit, it helps that guy, right? For the receiver and the quarterback, they don't know the difference in this and this. That guy's pressed to them. But when I back him up, it buys him just a little bit of time. So I have begun to train those guys back up just a little bit. It also helped me in training this way. It also helped me when the receiver was off the line of scrimmage, right? Because if, in my old smell his breath way, when those guys removed from the line of scrimmage, now my guys started to struggle. So when we started to train with us giving just a little bit of ground, it ended up helping us, right? We talk about avoiding no man's lane, right? So if you want to put him up and have him smell his breath, that's fine. That's just not what I do. I don't think, though, that you need to have that DB any more than 2.5 yards off the ball. That's really a stretch. Any more than 2.5 yards off the ball, I kind of believe you're getting into no man's land. And what I mean by that is, if you're more than 2.5 yards off the ball, now that receiver, he's into his route. He's into his release. Really, before you can prohibit, before you can get your hands on him at all. So I want to get my hands on him as fast as I can, but I want to make sure that I stay away from no man's land. Then I got to have that guy understand, am I taking away inside or am I taking away outside? He has to understand that, the DB, because there's sometimes when we press where we take away inside, and there's sometimes when we press where we want to be strong on the outside. The defensive back just has to understand that. And then we have to keep that secret from the wide receiver as long as he can. I've seen coaches line on the receiver, and I'm here. Now, I believe if you keep that secret from him as long as you can, you give yourself an advantage, right? So we try to align more head up with an understanding that I'm taking away outside. More head up with an understanding that I'm taking away inside. So we're inside or outside, slight, we'll say inside eye. Outside eye. But we want to give the opinion, the presentation to the receiver that we are head up, right? Then our eyes. I've talked to coaches over the years, and my eyes over the years have been all over the place. Some guys look at the back foot. Some guys look at the bottom of the number. Some guys look at the torso. All over the place. What we do is we look at the inside hip or the outside hip, depending on what we are going to be taken away. So we talk about the logo. Some people, like I said, look at the belt loop. But I just believe now that you just have to give that guy something to look at. Otherwise, he'll be all over the place with his eyes. He's not going to be in that place too long with his eyes, but give him something to look at. And like I said, we just choose to look at the logo, or sometimes we'll say the belt loop, to your leverage, to what you are taking away. Now, when we talk about the feet, there's big time stress on beating him with your feet, having control, being focused, being balanced with your feet. Defensive backs with long arms, defensive backs, especially cornerbacks with long arms, are dominant, right? But we try to train the defensive back to beat him with our feet, to stay square, starting from the alignment, stay square as long as he can, because we believe, as you watch Justin, we believe that it's important, if you can stay square longer, you put more indecision in the receiver's head, because his coach is training him to get you to turn. Get you to turn, step on your toes. That's what he's been trained to do. But as long as you can stay square, you give yourself an opportunity to control the route. Next thing, and this is a big one, and this has been a big one for me, is that I like to tell them exactly what to do with their feet. I like to tell them exactly what to do with their feet. If we're going to take away outside, if we're going to take away the vertical, what I train those guys to do is put your weight on your inside foot. I say, if you got your weight on your inside foot, you can't move the inside foot, right? So put your weight on your inside foot. And I talked about it earlier, is that we want you to start to feel your weight. Understand where your body is. Understand what's going on with his body. So you have to really focus in to be able to put your weight on that inside foot. And now what we want to do is we want to take a short 6-inch step with our outside foot to gain width and depth. Actually, it's a smaller version of what those offensive tackles do, right? Those offensive tackles who are pass blocking, what they do every play to make that defensive end widen, right? To keep him away from that pocket. Well, when we train it, that's the way we talk, is that I want to get that guy off his track, because when offensive coaches go into the coaching room, I guess that's what they call it, and they draw up those routes. They draw those routes in straight lines. The timing is built off straight lines. It's built off the release. But if we can get our hands on it, if we can force him to widen more than what was pre-designed, then we feel like we give ourselves a chance. When I watch videos and I see guys divide their feet, right, to me that tells me he didn't know what to do with his feet. So if you told anyone to step up here, okay, you're going to defend everything, right? You're going to take everything away. I'm not going to give you certain things to take away. You're going to have to take away everything. First thing I'm going to do is try to take away everything. I'm going to divide my feet. I'm going to spread my arms, and I'm going to try to defend all releases by you. What we try to do is train. I'm going to take away outside. I'm going to step with my outside foot, right? I'm going to step with my outside foot, and then I'm going to bring my inside foot, right? So we're going to take that short 6-inch step, and it varies depending on the height of the guy and the foot quickness of the guy that you are training at the time. My attempt at graphic movements. All right, and I'm not going to talk much about it today, but when we train blitz technique, which is different than press technique, when we train blitz technique, we don't step outside. Now what we do is we take a short 6-inch step inside, and now we're going to move laterally, right? When we use this press technique, we are giving the impression that we are about to attack, but we are actually going to retreat. Right? We're going to retreat to be able to take away the vertical. When we train our blitz technique that we use from press, we're going to take one 6-inch step, and now we're going to move laterally, and there's about to be a dog fight here on the line of scrimmage with us surely taking away the inside. So we drill continually our feet, just our feet, no hands, right? And I'll stop the drill once the receiver starts to close the cushion. But we're talking feet. We're talking staying in front just by using our feet, staying square. Like I talked a minute ago, what I'll do in this drill is I'll back the DB up and I'll put him directly in front of the receiver at times, and then I'll take him and put him inside, slightly outside, and we'll work the drill only using our feet. Only using our feet because, like I said, defensive backs with long arms, they have a chance to be dominant. But if I take your arms away, if I take your hands away from you, where you only rely on your feet, then I think we're doing a better job of developing as we get into the route. Same thing here. right? We're just trying to stay square, a more aggressive technique, a more aggressive on the line of scrimmage technique, but we're working to stay square, working to beat him with your feet. I've talked to guys about pretending that you are over a hill, over a ledge, right? Because you see guys, when they get here on the line of scrimmage or they get into the press technique, they start to pedal out of there. They start to give ground. I like to say to you, listen, you're on a hill, right? I don't want to fall off the hill. Same thing we train with DBs when we're on the goal line. Don't go over the cliff. We talk the same way when we're in press technique. Don't go over the cliff. Give ground grudgingly. Make him push you over the cliff. Now, when we talk about our hands, this is going all the way back to the Sugar Ray Leonard. All the way back, because the kids don't know who Sugar Ray Leonard is. So I have to talk to them about Money Mayweather. Now, Money Mayweather does not use his hands, right? He's boxing like this, but he has quick hands, right? He has hands that are really quick. So what we talk about is having those hands in a combat position. We talk about having hands in a combat position. I said it earlier. Long on for a DB, give him a chance to be dominant, right? But you got to train the feet. You got to train the feet. The hands, if you're good with your hands, they can help neutralize it, right? They can help neutralize the speed of the receiver, because we talked a minute ago about the offensive coaches. They're drawing those routes up, but they're not counting for getting hands on, widening, throwing off the timing of the route off. So to review, it's important that your language.
Let's go back one more slide.
Oh, okay, my bad. Right here? Yes. It's important that the language you use, I'm sorry guys, just stop me if I do that. That the language you use is aggressive, right? The language that you use, big time aggressive. It's important. I believe it's the shirt that you have those guys put on. Next thing is we want to stay square as long as we can. It's very important that we stay square as long as we can. Next thing, and I said it a second ago, give ground grudgingly. Let him push you off the cliff. Don't you go off the cliff, let him push you off the cliff. And then as we get into the route, we're going to talk about the opposite hand here, but you want to make him show you the release, because the release is the determining factor. Is where we're going to punch with our hands. So we want to make him show us the release. Make him show us the release, and then that gives us an opportunity. So in making him show us the release, we have to be patient. We have to be determined to be patient, right? Make him, this is not a release, right? Make him show, get into your route, receiver. Pound brakes all day. I'm not going to react to that. That's why he does it. Show me the release. And when you show me the release, then I'll go to the next step. When he shows me the release, right, I'm going to fire my hand into the shoulder, right? And we got some clips here, but I want to make sure that I fire the open hand. Whenever you give DBs open hands, right, they end up grabbing. So we talk about open hand, right, open hand, and to be able to punch that guy, but don't grab, right? Don't grab. I teach him how to grab. We grab low, right? When you grab low, there's no official down there, right? The official looks for jerseys away from the body. They don't look down low. So we're always hand fighting low, right? But when it's time to punch, we always want to punch. We always want to punch that shoulder pad. And so here we're just having a drill where we're just going to punch the pad. DBs never use these pads. Sometimes we like to just go over and use the pad just because the D-line use it all the time and they think they belong to them. So we go over to punch the pad. But just giving us an opportunity to work on the punch. And it's not a punch and hold it out, right? It's just a punch to widen, right? It's just a punch to widen. It's just a punch to be able to widen that receiver. We don't have to, he's a grown man. He's not going to let you keep that hand on him all day. Not to mention, it's bump and run, right? It's bump and run. So we want to bump him, right? And then we want to recoil, right, to be able to punch him again. Be able to punch him again to get him in a position to widen. Then, once we, if the receiver were to go to my left,
I'm going to punch to that hand, punch to that shoulder pad, open my hips to him, right? But I'm going to open my hips to that receiver with an understanding that I have to be in position for the counter move. So I don't want to get so far over the top on the punch. I'm already over the top because of the fact that we've taken that step. But now he releases outside. I want to punch, but in my mind I'm thinking I want to stay inside for the counter move, right? Once he releases outside, we tell the receiver he's not coming back inside. If he would have released inside, we tell the DB. If he releases inside, he is not coming back outside. So receiver, once you show me the release, you go inside, you're not coming back outside. Sometimes you'll see a receiver, they're going in and they're going out and they're spinning your DB back. No. You go inside, you're going to stay inside. You're not going to come back outside. You go outside, you're going to stay outside. You're not going to come back inside. All right? So we really work hard on preventing the counter move. We're going to drive our hips to that receiver. We're not going to let him back inside once he has chosen the direction. Here we're punching. And I know whenever you drill with DBs, they never look like receivers. But we really work hard to talk to the DBs about, hey, give me a good look, right? Give me an explosive release, because that's what this DB is going to face when he goes and we go one-on-one with the receivers, when he is in the game in a one-on-one press alignment. So we want to punch that hand, we want to open the hips, and we want to get in a position to be able to cut off the vertical if we're taken away outside. And we already talked about this, the fact that the offense, and I think it's important that our players understand that just being in this alignment, you've done something to the receiver. Just being here, because now, if you were off, he knows what he's going to do. I'm going to stand inside, I'm going to go vertical, I'm going to drop. He already has the plan. But when you are here on the line of scrimmage, my guys, I try to get them to understand, you have indecision in his mind. Between him and that quarterback, there's indecision. Because they really don't, are you going to jam him right here? Or are you going to press and then back off? They really don't know. So there's indecision, and you are making them, receiver and quarterback, make decisions on the fly. Gives us, I believe, gives us an opportunity. Right? So this drill is one where the receiver is just going straight back, straight off the line of scrimmage, and we're going to give him prescribed inside or outside release. Everybody's on the line. Inside release. Open my hips, punch to the shoulder. Open my hips, punch to the shoulder. Now, the guy who's working with the coach, he's being cheated. So now, as we get into the next phase, going all the way back to when do I look, right? When do I look? Well, as we are opening my hips, punching with the opposite hand to the shoulder, now the receiver is going to continue into his route. What we're trying to do at that point is we're trying to get our shoulders in front, right? Every one of these steps, we train step by step in the progression. We train step by step, right? Step by step. So now we're moving on to the fact that we have to get our shoulders in front, right? If we're going to take away the vertical, we have to get our shoulders in front. My man Bolt from Jamaica, he runs a 9.99 or 4.22 240. I always tell my guys, he did not do that with a guy in front of him. Guy went in front of his shoulder, right? In just a second, I'm going to have a coach walk up and we'll step through this. So I tell the receiver, the defensive backs, that the receiver, if you imagine that guy has a bungee cord tied to his chest, and that bungee cord is pulling him to the vertical, right? Down the field, the ball snaps, bungee cord is pulling him to the end zone, right? So what we have to do by using our technique, I give you a razor blade, and I put it on your shoulder here. What we're going to do is we're going to open our hips, punch, and now we're going to step in front, get our shoulders in front, use that razor blade to cut that vertical line off, to cut that bungee cord. And we say that prohibits him from running as fast as he was running, being pulled by that bungee cord. So we say we're going to cut the vertical line. I talked about it a minute ago, but we are always low hand fighting. We don't train it, but I'm always telling our guys, if I can get my hands right, if I can hit that thigh, if I can grab that hand, if I can pull, whatever I can do down low,
it helps me, right? I don't know if it's fair and ethical, but it helps me on that particular play. So we work, or we talk a lot about hand fighting, low hand fighting with the receiver. We also, and this is just actually kind of rewinding just a little bit, whenever we get into this position, we talk to our guys about expecting the fade. The fade is going to come. You got to expect the fade. When you get in the line of scrimmage, there are many people or many offenses, when you get here, especially in the red zone, you're going to get the fade. You need to expect the fade, right? So we train the fade quite a bit as we are practicing in this technique. Then I talked to our receiver or our defensive backs about the fact that the quarterback and the receiver, when they leave the huddle, they have an agreement that if this guy is running with me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to release and I'm going to save room. I've been in different places in our offense, they'll paint the field. They'll have red lines and green lines and blue lines. And that blue line, for example, tells the receiver, listen, when you're running a vertical, don't get outside this blue line. That is the space that you and the quarterback have agreed upon, so that if a DB is running with you, he's going to throw the ball to that blue line. You keep the DB off that blue line, he's going to throw it to that blue line, right? So we as defensive backs, we train for that. When we are defending the fade, we expect that lean. So what we have to do is we have to get our shoulders in front and we have to lean. And then when we lean, we want to look to the sky, right? Feel his weight with our hand down low. Look to the sky. I like to say that God gave you two eyes and I give you a third one. Feel him here, right? Because you have to feel where he is and you look to the sky. We don't train you to look back here for the quarterback. Look to the sky, because when we get downfield in such a way that the guy is running a vertical, the ball won't be coming at that angle, it'll be coming at that angle. So we tell you, lean, look with your third eye as well, and look to the sky for the ball. Now when we get into the red zone, I don't know if somebody's going to give me time, but when we get into the red zone, we use a technique that we call the slant technique. So many years ago, I defended in the red zone the same way I defended out in the field. We're going to get up, we're going to press, we're going to get our hands on this guy, we're going to opposite hand on movement, we're going to turn, lean and look. Well, when you get into the red zone, we don't have that time, right? When we get into the red zone, the receiver is tapping his helmet, the quarterback, they've already made an agreement that the ball is going to snap and it's in the air right now. So what I kept dealing with was my DBs. They go here, balls in the air, touchdown, right? Balls in the air, touchdown. So what I began to do after talking to different people, some guys in the NFL, is I started to take my guy off the line of scrimmage, right? Move him inside, slightly inside, and we wanted to be square. Sometimes I'll turn him inward, right, just to give an appearance, but our vision is on the receiver. But we'll be square, but we want to be slightly inside now. I believe the further you move away from your receiver, the more you have to move to your leverage, right? So if I'm on the line of scrimmage, I want to be head up. As I move further away from this guy, then I got to move more into what I'm taking away. So I'm going to move to inside leverage, not 2-3 yards, but I want to move to slightly inside leverage on that receiver. And our defensive backs, we know that when we get in that area, when we get really 12 to 14 yards and in, we're going to use this slant technique, right? If I tell those defensive backs, you're going to use your slant technique, the thing I want to do is I'm going to be inside leverage, and when the receiver releases, I'm in a position, I'm going to strike, I'm going to attack him. If he runs a slant, that's why we call it the slant DBs, we're taking away the slant. So if he runs a slant, I'm in that position to take away the slant right now, right? So that the slant is destroyed. You will not catch the slant. Well, that's the most common route that you get in this area is the slant.
right? So if he gets a slant, if the DB gets a slant, I'm already sitting in the slant. I'm going to take away the slant. I'm going to destroy the slant. Got to use my notes. I already said it. Sit in the slant. Now, a common route that we'll get here is the fade stop. When I was at the University of North Texas, they didn't care if you pressed, if you played off. They were going to run the fade, right? So we just intercept the fade. They're going to run the fade, and I'm in this position. We're going to intercept this fade. So then what they grew to is the fade stop. Well, the fade stop, if you think about it, is a difficult route to defend from this position. Because what we're going to do is we're going to attack the slant. If the receiver releases on an out, a quick out, I'm going to attack the out from inside out, so from top down. If he releases on a fade, I'm already on top, so I'm going to be in position, like I said a minute ago. I'm going to intercept this fade, right? I'm in position. You're going to throw it up. I can see it through the receiver. I'm going to intercept the fade. So now, go to the fade stop. The receiver releases on a fade. I'm in great position on the fade. Now all of a sudden he puts his foot in the ground, and he's going to come back to the football. I got to be honest with my DBs. That is a very difficult route to defend. So the way we try to defend that route, the way we try to deal with that route is by aggression. We're going to try to hit him as hard as we can and try to knock that ball out, right? As he pushes vertically on the fade, Coach, come up here just for a second. I tried to do it by myself as long as I could. So, Coach is going to run a fade stop, right? So we'll go through the fade first, just so these guys can see it. So the receiver releases on the fade, go ahead, steps on the fade. I'm going to take away the slant. Now he's going to the fade. So what I want to do, and we train hard here, I want to be in this position, right? I want to be in this position if they throw the fade. If they throw the fade, I'm going to be in a position to intercept it. I don't care if he's 6'5", 6'6", 5'6". I'm in position right now to intercept the fade because I'm on top. He's looking for the ball. I'm looking for the ball. And what I train us to do is I want to pretend that he's a piece of metal and I'm a magnet. And I'm going to magnetize my chest to his chest, right? And when his head goes back, I'm in a position to be able to go back. And I can make a play on the ball. Now let's go fade stop. Same fade. Now you're going to drive back to the ball. Ready, go. Same thing with the fade. Now I'm in great position. Now he's going to turn. Now what I got to do is I'm going to drive downfield shoulder because I don't care about the out and up in this position. I'm going to drive downfield shoulder through him to the football. A lot of times this ball is going to be lowered away, right? This ball is going to be driving back down toward the line of scrimmage. So the only hope I have is to get there in an angry way, right? Get there in an angry way. And in this position, using this technique, we don't care about pass interference. Really, when I get into this place on the line, on the field, I don't care about pass interference, right? We don't. If they get pass interference, they line up, they play another play. We're going to do the same thing again. We won't play any more play. We'll play all the game, the rest of the game right here. So we train our guys that this is an aggressive place. No, we're not grabbing, of course. But we're going to be aggressive. We're going to attack. If the ball is, if you're driving on a route, we're driving right along with you because we feel like this is a vital. There's no time to backpedal. There's no time to give ground here. So we have a lot of early contact. We have a lot of boom, knock them off. That's what comes with it. We want to make sure that we are aggressive in this place. So we would back him up just a little bit as we get to the 5-yard line, we get to the 3-yard line, we get closer to the goal line, right? We don't, just like I said a minute ago, we don't want our guys in the end zone, right? We want to be as close to that line, as close to the end zone as we can without going over the hill, right? If he's on the 2-yard line, well, it'll turn into press at that point, right? But our attack is the same. Our aggressiveness on each route is the same. We're still taking away the slant, right? Having a great opportunity to take away the fade, but we are just closing that space as much as we can. So we'll just look at some of these videos here of some of the drills that we use. going back through the progression, what we're doing is we are talking to the defensive back now about getting my hand on, getting my head around right now, cutting him off, and playing the football in the air. What we have the defensive back, who is the receiver, do is at times we'll have that guy grab him from behind, we'll have him push him in the back, right? But we're talking about high pointing the ball, we're talking about getting our heads around right now, going back through the progression. So in this drill, what we'll do is we'll lay those flat bags down. And this is the initial release. Staying square, having my hands in a position to be able to put my hands on the receiver. But if you check those bags out, they're little short flat bags, right? This is the only amount of time that you're really going to give ground, right? This is the only amount of time. But by the time you pass the flat bags, you're out into the route, right? You're out into the route. They just gave me the signal, guys, that that's my time. Anybody you ever want this presentation, ever want anything from me, I'm an open book. My email address is vmalone@kstatesports.com. That's vmalone@kstatesports.com. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you for being here this morning. Good luck the rest of the day.